people have been saying recently that the NBA Finals are rigged. The reason for that is that it seems like the Warriors have been getting a lot of close calls, while the Cavs, well, they've been getting charge calls overturned to blocking calls. So I'm gonna be honest, if the series keeps going like it is, if people keep saying that the series is rigged, when it's all said and done, we're going to definitely do a deep dive into whether these NBA Finals were fixed. But as for today, we're gonna look at one of the biggest reasons as to why people think that the NBA does fix playoff series. We're gonna look at one of the greatest playoff conspiracies of all time. Did the NBA fix the 2001 Eastern Conference Finals? So what's up, guys? My name is Mike, and let's just jump into this. So far on this channel, we've taken a look at two playoff series that are seen as some of the biggest conspiracy theories in NBA history. I'm talking, of course, about the 2006 NBA Finals, where the Heat attempted 52 more free throws in 6 games against the Mavericks, and Dwayne Wade himself took 16.2 free throws a game, and the 2002 Western Conference Finals, where several questionable calls went against an arguably better Sacramento Kings team so that the Los Angeles Lakers could reach the finals. Now, the arguments for why these series were fixed were pretty convincing. If you want to watch the videos on them, I'll link them below. Just know that the biggest reason why people believe that the NBA fixes certain series is that the league wants the teams with the biggest fan bases and biggest name appeal, like the Los Angeles Lakers, to go as far as they can in the playoffs because more people would watch the games. That is exactly what many think happened in the 2001 Eastern Conference Finals between the Milwaukee Bucks and the Philadelphia 76ers. This was the 76ers team, of course, that Allen Iverson is credited with carrying to the NBA Finals, and it was those finals that saw Iverson drop a ridiculous 48 points as he carried the Sixers to a Game 1 win over the Lakers, literally stepping over Ty Lue in the process. But the thing is, it's possible that none of that should have happened, because when looking at this Bucks vs Sixers series, it is not exactly a stretch to say that Milwaukee outplayed Philadelphia and deserved to win if not for some help from the refs. This was a Bucks team that was led by a star in Ray Allen in what was arguably his best year, because we all remember Ray as one of the best shooters of all time, but this was also a Ray who was ultra athletic and focused more on having an all-around complete game. This was very apparent in 2001, as Ray would finish with the best PER of his career after averaging 22 points, 5.2 rebounds, and 4.6 assists a game. And in the playoffs, he would up those numbers and prove that he was a star capable of leading his team to the finals. What's more, the Bucks had two other all-star caliber players in Glenn Robinson and Sam Cassell, as well as several capable role players who made this team possibly the best team in the Eastern Conference. But of course, they would be denied their chance to play in the NBA Finals that year, as the Sixers would win under some very shady circumstances. Now, we are going to look at some of the exact calls that were made that many consider shady, but before we do that, let's just look at the straight facts. For one thing, Philadelphia was obviously the most popular team in the Eastern Conference that season, as Allen Iverson was one of the league's most popular players. In fact, Allen Iverson was actually the MVP of the league that year, and he was so popular that in 2008, when the NBA released the best-selling jerseys of all time, AI was third behind just Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. So it's pretty obvious that the NBA would benefit from Allen Iverson playing in the NBA Finals, especially when you consider the alternative, which would be a Milwaukee Bucks team that, despite having one of the best teams in the NBA, finished just 13th in home attendance that season. So just heading into this series, you can see why the NBA would have some kind of motivation for Philly to win. And the thing is, the Milwaukee Bucks players not only thought the series was rigged after they had lost because of this, they were already complaining about the refs during the actual Eastern Conference Finals. Because after a strange Game 5 loss that we will get to, Ray Allen dropped these bombshells on the media. Ray said, "I think there's no question about that. The league as a marketing machine, the bottom line is about making money. It behooves everybody for the league to make more money, and the league knows that Philadelphia is going to make more money with LA than we would with LA. 9 times out of 10, when you have a referee, you know there's no biases. But in the back of everybody's minds, it's like Philadelphia and the MVP needs to play in the finals." Ray also would say that his family had been sitting near Commissioner David Stern, and that when Ray fouled AI on a drive but no foul was called, Stern, quote, "jumped up real mad like he was cheering for Philly." And when looking at the stats of the series, you can see why Ray Allen was so angry. By the time these 7 games were over, the Bucks would be called for 165 fouls compared to 122 fouls for the Sixers. Going further, Milwaukee was called for 11 technicals compared to just 2 for Philly, and the Bucks had 4 flagrant fouls while the Sixers had none. And to top this all off, the Sixers would take 186 free throws while the Bucks only took 120, and Glenn Robinson, Milwaukee's second best player, would not attempt a single free throw until game 5. Of course, all of this looks suspicious, which is why Bucks head coach George Karl would be fined by the league for saying that the NBA wanted the 76ers in the finals, and that 3 other NBA head coaches had called him and raised conspiracy concerns. But as they say, talk is cheap, so in order to really appreciate the conspiracy here, let's just take a look at the actual games. We're going to jump to game 4 here because it's in game 4 when the Bucks were playing at home with a 2-1 series lead that things started to become very suspicious. In this game, Allen Iverson will take more free throws than the entire Milwaukee Bucks roster, and the following suspicious plays occur. By the way, sorry for the horrible quality, but this is all we've got. So everyone always looks at the end of game calls when calling for a fixed game, but early game calls matter too. For instance, with 8:43 left to go in the first, Sam Cassell gets called for a foul here. No idea how he's the one who committed a foul, but he'd pick up his second foul shortly after, which meant he'd now have to play less aggressive. Moving ahead a quarter, Jason Caffey gets called for an illegal screen that wasn't a foul, but it did wipe away a basket for the Bucks, and this is important because these fouls add up. Sure, 1 or 2 bad calls in the first and second quarter, maybe they don't look like they're that important, but when you break down the game overall, suddenly you have a game where the Sixers take 22 free throws and the Bucks take only 11. Regardless, let's now go to the fourth quarter where it's a 3-point game and the Bucks need every basket they can get, which is why Glenn Robinson gets very angry when with 3:23 left, his arm seems to get hit, but no call is made. On the other end, Allen Iverson drives to the basket and gets an and one, even though when you look at every single replay angle, he is not touched on this shot, which actually helps this conspiracy a little more because the foul was called before the shot, meaning that AI, who would shoot 10 for 32 this game, was going to get free throws here on a huge possession even if he wasn't fouled on the shot. By the way, where is the foul on this drive to the basket before the shot? I don't know. I can't find it. Finishing off game 4, the game would be decided when with under 1 minute and 30 seconds left to go, the Bucks were down 5 and desperately needed a basket, but instead, Glenn Robinson turned the ball over again. You can see that he pump fakes here, clearly gets bumped, and then loses the ball as Allen Iverson takes it for an easy basket, but there was no foul call. It's these types of plays that had everyone in the building convinced that the refs were on the Sixers side. It actually got so bad that when Sam Cassell drove to the basket to end the game and got an end one on what looked like no contact at all, the Milwaukee Bucks fans started booing because they thought the refs had just called a meaningless foul on the Sixers so that the difference in foul calls wouldn't look so bad.
Raja Bell, who didn't really mean any contact.
But hey, these things happen. Maybe the refs just had an off game. So let's head to game 5, where things actually become more ridiculous. This game 5 will see the Bucks lose by 1 as the Sixers again shot 12 more free throws. And just looking at the start of the first quarter, you could see that the Bucks were not going to be getting the calls in this game. With around 9 minutes and 50 seconds left in the first, Scott Williams clearly goaltends a Mutombo shot, but is also called for for a foul on one of the cleanest blocks I've ever seen. He then is called for an offensive foul on this screen the very next possession, which is again questionable, but now he has 2 fouls and has to go sit on the bench. Then on the very next possession again, Ray Allen is called for a foul on Mutombo, and there's no replay here, but Ray is mad, and if we look closely and slow this down, you can see why. Because obviously this play ends with both of Ray's hands on the ball, and even though it's a weird angle, you can tell that his hands never moved this entire time, so this is a jump ball. Instead though, we have 3 straight possessions with bad calls. That's how this game would start, so let's jump to the 4th quarter and see how it ends. With around 5 minutes and 31 seconds left to play, Jason Caffey is somehow called for a foul here, even though he basically does nothing at all, including playing defense. Moving on though, here is the stretch of bad calls that wins the Sixers the game and is the main reason why people say that Game 5 was fixed. With around 4 minutes and 15 seconds to go, the Bucks are up 2 and Ray Allen is clearly fouled here on the double team as he gets hit on the arm. There is no foul called though, of course, and the Sixers wind up on a fast break and the Bucks get called for a flagrant foul. Philadelphia would make both of the flagrant free throws, and so with the game tied, it's here that Aaron McKie makes an end one and the Bucks freak out. This is understandable for 3 reasons. Reason 1. Watching this replay, McKie goes up and gets blocked but does not lose control of the ball at all. He then comes down with it, and you cannot do that. This is a jump ball. Reason 2, when he does go up again, no one touches him. This isn't a foul. And finally, reason 3, the man called for the foul, Bucks starting center Irvin Johnson, gets his 6th foul on this play. So on a play in a close game where the refs mess up twice, the Milwaukee Bucks lose their starting center. Jumping ahead with 1 minute and 35 seconds left to go, Caffey is called for an offensive foul on this screen with the Bucks down by 1. Is this possibly an illegal screen? Maybe. However, let's take a look at some of the other screens that were set during this game, and now you can see why when the game is on the line, the Bucks would get so angry at this call. Milwaukee would go on to lose this game by 1, and Ray Allen would be fined for basically telling the media that this series was rigged. So there we have it, guys. Those are the reasons why people think that the 2001 Eastern Conference Finals were fixed. Now in this video, I did really take one side, the side of the conspiracy theorist here. So yes, I definitely would not blame anyone that doesn't believe this conspiracy for saying that this was biased. With that said though, there were clearly a lot of questionable calls and a bunch that I couldn't even show you because we don't have time to sit there and dissect every single call of every single game. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're new to this channel, make sure to subscribe. Do videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday around 6 p.m. Eastern. And if you're already subscribed, thank you so much for supporting. You're awesome. We all know it. And as always, have an awesome day and cue that music.